Good afternoon. Hello, my name is Ednita Kelly, Children's Librarian at the San Pedro Branch, and I am joined today by Kren Malone, Director of the Central Library for the Los Angeles Public Library. We are here to introduce today's LA-made program, Compton Cowboys, How Horses Turned Friends into Family and Saved a Community. We want to thank the National Endowment for the Humanities, our library foundation, and our behind-the-scenes staff for helping to bring this LA-made program and all LA-made programs to you virtually. LA Made focuses on the diverse landscape of Los Angeles, highlighting the immense artistic and performance talent that has developed in the course of the city's eclectic history. If you would like to see more of our amazing programs, please visit our online calendar at lapl.org/events. And when looking specifically for our LA Made programs, visit lapl.org/LAmade. Our website also has blog posts that highlight the library's diverse resources and upcoming programs, one of them being the Compton Cowboys that also provides more books on the subject. Also, do not miss our next LA Made program tomorrow, Friday, March 26th at 4 p.m., featuring Bailey Sarian. Bailey hosts her YouTube series, Murder, Mystery, and Makeup, and she will join us for an afternoon discussion over makeup, true crime, research, and her experience as an influential true crime storyteller and makeup artist, followed by a question and answer with Bailey Sarian.
Now for what we've all been waiting for. I'm very excited to introduce today's LA Made program. Joining us today is author of the Compton Cowboys, A New Generation of Cowboys in America's Urban Heartland, Walter Thompson-Hernandez, and Randy Savvy, leader of the Compton Cowboys. I must say, I'm a native of Compton. I graduated from Compton High. I always saw horses and folks riding on horses. It's really exciting to be able to introduce these guys. In addition to being an author, Walter Thompson-Hernandez is a multimedia journalist exploring the world, asking what it means to belong, and has worked with New York Times, NPR, Fusion, BBC, The Guardian, among others. Randy Savvy, in addition to his involvement with the Compton Cowboys, is an artist. His first, Colorblind, came out in 2020 and is available for download and streaming in all streaming services. The book, The Compton Cowboys, A New Generation of Cowboys in America's Urban Heartland, explores the history and current realities of these young modern-day Black cowboys working to uplift their community through horses and ranching lifestyle. Where the Old West meets the New West is also a nominee for the 52nd Annual NAACP Image Awards, Outstanding Literary Work, Debut Author category. So that's pretty exciting. And that'll be aired on Saturday, March 27th on BET. We're also giving away 25 copies of the Compton Cowboys, A New Generation of Cowboys in America's Urban Heartland, and 25 copies of the Compton Cowboys Young Readers Edition and The Fight to Save Their Horse Ranch. So please email us at ecdepartment or ecdept@lapl.org to possibly win your free copy. If you would like to purchase your own signed copy of the book, please visit our library store at shop.lfla.org. Welcome, Walter and Randy.
Walter.
What's up, Randy? What's going on? Thank you for that intro, everybody, and thank you for to the LA Public Library for hosting this event. I know Randy and I are really excited about this, and we're just really happy to be here and also be in conversation. I feel like it's been a long time since Randy and I kind of really sat down and talked about things. So this is really cool. How you feeling, Randy?
I'm good, man. We started rocking. It's been a crazy journey. We was doing this for 2018 ish. From the first, getting with you and doing the whole New York Times article was really what catapulted the Compton Cowboys into the atmosphere. Really, we were doing our thing right here in our local community. Right. And once you reached out through Instagram, through DM, that you wanted to do it times, and from then on, man, we just been flying high, man. So, man, much love to you. It's family now, and congratulations on being nominated for the NAACP Image Awards with your first book, bro. That's major. Much love. So, yeah, we
appreciate it. Yeah, man, absolutely. And we also want to remind people that you can put questions in the chat. If you have questions throughout, what's going to happen tonight is Randy and I are going to speak for 30 minutes or so, and just really in a conversational way, and then we'll open it up to questions. So let's I think I want to ask a question that we're all dying to know. are you wearing cowboy boots right now? Like, I know it's a Zoom call. It's a Zoom call, right? So like, you got a belt buckle on, you got boots or not?
So what's funny is I normally put on all my stuff, and all my homies would clown me like, bro, you ain't going nowhere. You wearing all this stuff to get on the computer. But my thing is like, I like to, I mean, in the regular world, when I'm going somewhere, I get fully dressed, right? So I'm like, I like to stay in practice and do it, but keeping it real, that feedback kind of hit me on top. Like, man, let me just on the top piece so people can see, you know what I'm saying, be fly from the northern region up, you know what I'm saying? So I ain't rocking the boots today. I ain't got no jeans, no buckle. I'm right here in the top hat, and I'm good. You know what I mean?
Okay, cool. Well,
I'm happy to be. I gotta steal one thing.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, and I feel like that's like a perfect segue, right? Because I feel like what to me is what's so great and what's so interesting about y'all is that like not only are you trying to reinsert the Black cowboy back into the history books, right? Like that's like a larger sort of goal, but you're also kind of like redefining, Black cowboy culture and even cowboy culture more largely speaking in kind of your own way, right? Where it's like, yeah, we could wear hats, but like we could also wear boots and J's and forces, like whatever it is, like we're kind of like really sort of like creating an image in that how you want to be seen, right?
Yes, I mean for us it's like it's a new day, like conventional norms, like a lot of times that really restricts you and makes you feel like sometimes if you don't really subscribe to those specific parameters, then you kind of feel like you feel alienated. You feel like an outsider. You feel like you don't belong. So it was our thing for the new generation, for these new kids, is like, man, we're gonna show you like you can be your everyday self and still participate very like vibrantly within a culture, right? So we Cowboys. We definitely pay homage to the tradition. I really love wearing my cowboy hat. It is a statement piece. It speaks something very specific when you wear it about the culture and history and traditions. But same time, we might be out here white tees, sweats. Stone, his whole brand, he's infamous for never wearing a shirt and he wears slides when he rides. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that. You'll get a lot of flack from the older traditional generation. Like you got to buck up and show the cowboy way. But for us, it's like it's a new way. We got to get away from these things that kind of like trying to make you look a certain way, talk a certain way, be a certain way in order to have a certain level of respect. Like that's old school, that's outdated. Like we off that. Like we on new way, which is be yourself, whatever makes you feel good, whatever makes you happy, and just also you could do what you want to do, but still, you can participate in the culture. So that's how we rocking.
Yeah. Say it's someone's first time hearing the words Compton Cowboys together, and someone's first time like learning about the Compton Cowboys, like. What are the Compton Cowboys?
It's funny because every time somebody asks me that, I always remix the answer because the first time somebody asked me, my answer was like this big, right?
Right.
I'm trying to find a way to super condense it. But really, the Compton Cowboys, we really just a group of homies that grew up together riding horses in a program that really kept us off the streets. And now we paying it forward to the next generation, but adding some sprinkling in some dope vibes on top of it. You know what I'm saying? So whereas we still have our nonprofit organization where we're doing stuff in the community with the next generation of kids, teaching them all about riding and the culture, the lifestyle, and introducing them into the industry, the equine industries. While we're doing that, we also we on Instagram, we popping, we taking pictures, we filming, we modeling. I got the Tommy Hilfiger joint. We in the spring 21 Tommy Hilfiger campaign right now. As the face of those kind of things. So making waves in popular culture too. So, but in the heart of hearts, we just homies that love horses. Ride horses. These horses really continue to be such a valuable thing in our life that help us just, in so many ways, mentally, physically, spiritually, and we just paying it forward to the next generation. We showing the kids like, this is especially the kids around here, that this is something they have opportunity to have access to, because that'd be the biggest problem is like accessibility to the culture is like so far and few because you in the hood, like in the hood, how the hood is like, you got a 5-mile radius of like the same old stuff, but we got horses in a ranch, so we making it doing something different. Right. And that's what you seen. Like talk to me about how you saw it growing up like around area. Like what was your experience on the outside looking in like with that?
For sure 100%. Yeah, so I mean I grew up like 10 minutes away from the ranch, right, like right off of Alameda, and I think for me, like as an outsider, right, like I remember the first time I saw like black men on horses, and it really just like took me somewhere, and it was interesting, right, because I think for a lot of us, like we didn't learn about Black cowboy culture in schools. We weren't reading about it. We weren't seeing it in popular culture. So I think like I can only imagine what it is, what that experience is like for other like younger kids, you know, in and around Compton, right? I think it's like it's something that I think about, something that I was thinking about in writing that book, and also like I think now a question I kind of wanted to ask you about, like, you know, like why is it so important to like, I think, you know, show young folks that like, you know, being a cowboy, being a cowgirl is also an option in Compton.
Well, thank you for asking that question, because it's very much a part of why I get up every day, is to show that we can do different things. You know, I mean, you grow up in the hood, you grow up around here, especially I'll just speak personally in Compton, right? I grew up in the Compton 90s. Like the 90s in Compton was like, you know, I mean, we saw it on TV. We saw it in the music. Like we was always in the news and the headlines for something, you know, whether you're talking about crime, violence, drugs, police brutality, government corruption, like anything that you could name that could be wrong with a community at that time was wrong with our community. And so it was just a crazy time. And then, you know, on top of that, opportunities are limited. So, you know, there's not all these amazing after school programs and clubs and different things. So pretty much when we was growing up, a lot of people from our generation basically wanted to grow up a rapper or athlete. Right. Like that was the vibe. Like you didn't want to grow up doing nothing other than that. And so we see where that led us. You know, on the one hand, a lot of Black wealth has been accomplished through those means. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, so many people did not accomplish that. It's just not something that was feasible and attainable for so many people. And the people that didn't get that, they are left to feel like, damn, well, what did I do with my life? Or I didn't do anything, or I'm not successful, right? So I'm like, wait a minute, like let's present another lane. You could be a cowboy now. You know what I'm saying? Like the kids around here, they could, you know, you could do music, you could do sports, you could do arts. But dang, how cool is it to be like, yo, you could be a cowboy, and that's something so different. And you know, as a young kid, all you really wanted is to be considered like to like you fit in, like you're cool. As long as you got the cool factor, you pretty much had a good childhood, because that way you wouldn't get teased, you wouldn't go through all these other things that would go with that. So for us, it's like being a cowboy, we making it like that's cool. You know what I'm saying? So we're giving the kids an opportunity to do something that they can get cool points off of, number one. And also it's so good for their life. It's so good for their development and all that. So yeah, that's what drives me every day. I'm like, by any means necessary, I need to keep this ranch open, keep these horses healthy, and provide opportunities for these kids so that they can have an opportunity to see that they can do something fresh and new, and they have access and they belong there.
Right. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. And I think like talk us through like your family's relationship to like cowboy culture and horses, because I know it's not like you aren't the first in your family to ride horses, and I think like it's really interesting that, you know, you also come from you come from a riding family. So like if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, my auntie is the one that started this whole like effort to build a ranch in Compton and save and work with kids. She grew up. My grandfather, her father, was a war veteran. And like all he would do when he was home would be like all he would do was watch hella Western movies. Like that was like her only real memories of ever spending time with her dad, because you know a lot of veterans came back messed up from the war or whatever. But part of his own self therapy was that he would just sit around watch westerns and then he would drink whiskey or whatever. But she grew up watching Western movies and seeing cowboys and cowgirls on TV and just always wanting to be like that. And then there were some people in her community that had a horse, and she used to always just run over there and be begging them, bugging them to ride the horse. And so she just always was like into the horsey thing. And then she just found this community called the Richmond Farms. You know, she was doing real estate, which was her work at the time in the 80s and 90s. Found the neighborhood and was like, oh my goodness, this is a dream. Like I can go live amongst cowboys and cowgirls, have my own horses, raise my kids up like that, and I can do that. So that's what she was doing from the 80s. And so actually it's so crazy because a lot of the conversations that get had are about like culture shock and like, you know, wait a minute, there are Black cowboys. Well, for me, it was the converse, because I was born, I was seeing with Black cowboys. Like I would see Black and Mexican cowboys only. It wasn't until that we ventured out to go to do other events, or I actually turned on the TV and saw white cowboys. So to me, that was a culture shock. I was like, wait, why are these cowboys on TV white? You know what I'm saying? Like my uncles and my homies and all them, my auntie and them is Black. Like, so that was my reality. And it was just a great lifestyle, great childhood growing up. And so I was born into it. My brother was born into it. We started growing up, started riding, started meeting homies around the neighborhood at the park and schools and different things. They started coming through to want to ride. And so we was a real deal little club growing up. And we just that was our life, man. It was a blast. And so now that we grown now, there's new opportunities, new things going on. We like, how do we continue to focus on the community, do something that we love, that we passionate about, and have some fun? Boom, Compton Cowboys, let's go. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that sounds amazing. You also brought up like a really interesting point about like your grandfather watching Westerns as like a form of therapy, even, you know, as a way to like unplug. And I think that's something that, you know, in writing the book, I spent like a year and a half with y'all, you know, almost every day. And that's kind of the aspect of like equine culture that, you know, I didn't really know a lot about, right? About this sort of like healing and like therapeutic nature of horses. And I think like, you know, the fact that your grandfather was already kind of like invested in that just kind of shows me that it kind of runs in the family, right? But if you could talk me through like maybe in a personal way, maybe things that you've seen, but just kind of talk us through like, because like horses are incredibly healing, right? And I think like studies have shown horses are used to like treat like, you know, whether it's depression or PTSD, just so many different benefits. So if you could like talk us through that, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, so I'm glad you touched on the science part of it. And to me, I get very spiritual when it comes to the conversation about the horses and people, because I think it's something that's beyond our like human capacity to like really register. I think it's like the idea of the horse and the way that you interact with the horse and the simple fact of their nature and that they're here for us, and we've discovered each other, and we bonded, and through that bond we were able to develop civilization as we know it. You know what I mean? Horses were the original everything, the original engine, the original form of transportation, the original everything. I mean, they were the original lawnmowers. You had a whole bunch of grass. You throw some horses out there, that grass gonna be done in no time. You know what I'm saying? So they helped us in so many ways, and so it's really hard to put into words, but I just know personally that the experience of that as a kid, when you're walking up to a horse and this horse is so much bigger than you, and it appears, you know, your mind wants to tell you, well, that's dangerous, run away. But something about the draw and the spirit of the horse, it keeps pulling you closer. And so you're eventually next thing you know, you're like, reaching, you can see it happen. Like even the scaredest kids, they'll be terrified, and then within minutes they're like reaching out to like touch the horse, and the next thing they're petting the horse, next thing you know they're riding the horse, and that's the magic of the horse. They just have this incredible draw that is spiritual. It's just a gravity of between humans and horses that is just so profound. And so it's so good for you once I started interacting with the horses. I just remember feeling so like excited and happy, and I feel like my adrenaline and my everything chemically in my body would feel good. That's why it is good for, you know, we talking autism and all these different things. Like it's beyond just having fun. It's a real physiological, scientific thing that goes on when you're dealing with horses. That just lights you up, it straightens you up, it makes your blood flow right, and so that's all the stuff that you get from horses. So that really helped me become who I am today. Growing up with horses kept me mellow, kept me all level-headed, kept me always with a sense of responsibility and discipline and being on time and being a good competitor, being a sportsman, being a team player, being in harmony and unison with nature. So all those things, it just gives you that just by nature of existing and being around each other, horses and humans. So that's just what we're trying to keep going. We're trying to pass that on to the generation. I mean, I even want to hear from you, like when you started coming around and getting your first like experience. Like tell me how you answer that question for me. Like tell me how that
for sure. You know it's funny, man, because like in writing the book and in promoting after, like a popular question was like, well, did you ride a horse at the ranch, right? Like everyone asked me a question. I'm like, no, I didn't, because I was following y'all, you know, trying to like document, right? So I'd be like, you know, walking around Compton trying to chase y'all on horses and stuff, you know, with like a camera or like a recorder, you know. So I never rode a horse, but no, I did see that, man. I think like, and I think I wrote that throughout the book. Like that was like a prominent theme, was like how sort of a healing component, you know, these horses can provide for people. So I noticed that in myself. I think like horses are really incredibly perceptive animals. You can't lie to a horse. Like they can sense like your energy, they can sense your intentions. And I think like if you're around horses as a child or even as an adult, there's gonna be like to your point, a physiological effect on your body, and they're gonna calm you, and they're gonna sort of like teach you how to speak and like how to approach people. So I think there's so many benefits, but that also got me thinking about. I remember there was a moment when I was interviewing you for the book, and you were talking about like, I think it's been well documented like around the U.S. like like the ways in which that certain programs and like certain communities like throughout the US, like urban communities, whatever it is, like a lot of programs like maybe they're under resourced or underfunded, but what you said folks haven't tried are like putting horse ranches in different hoods throughout the US, right? And I think that's like something that you made very clear, where you were telling me that this isn't just about Compton, right? Like it's not just about our community is incredibly important to us, but our ultimate goal is to have make a dent on like popular culture and also cowboy culture, right? And also like create sort of like urban equine centers. So like I wanted to ask you about that. Like is that still a goal, right? And if it's still a goal, like what do you think some of the effects of putting equine horse ranches and like different like essentially hoods throughout the US, like what do you think that would do?
So the goal is definitely that. I mean, our big mission, our lifelong dream will be able to be like, by the time we at the end of our life and be able like, what have we done while we've been on this earth? We can say, man, we put 100 ranches all over the world and all the different, in the biggest, most underserved neighborhoods and communities throughout the world, and actually change lives. So really the fun part of it is the popular culture, the heartfelt part of it is the philanthropy, but the spiritual and like the divine part of it is like we're trying to change humanity. We're trying to make good people, make good human beings who understand how important it is to exist and coexist within this ecosystem that is the world and the globe, and animals and people and things and places are all a part of that. So that's what horses give you a perspective on. So the whole point of horses, wanting to put horses, we're starting here in Compton. We got the ranch, we got the horses. It's making us better people. We making our kids better people. They make their friends better people, and it just kind of grows exponentially from that. But so we want to be able to scale that globally, be able to go from here, go up north, go down south, and go to the east, and then to go over the world. Man, one of my boys he got horse homies in Africa. I'm saying, he got cowboys in Africa that's trying to put a ranch together and use horses. So horses are just good for humanity overall. So really, if you ask me what my mission in life is really to change humanity for the better, using, working alongside horses to do that work. And that's how it rocks.
Yeah, no, that's really great. How many times have folks asked you about Old Town Road? Like
all the time.
Ballpark number. Like ballpark, give me a number, like 1,000, 5,000.
I probably have had 1,000 inquiries about that.
Right. Well, so other than that, and it's also a trip though, because you also sing and you're also a performer, right? And you're also sort of like trying to impact the like both country and also hip hop space with music and stuff. So I think that's interesting. But like, what's your take, man? Because so when I wrote that first New York Times story, that was like a few months before the Old Town Road sort of song came out, right? So one thing like folks kept on telling me that, oh yeah, the Compton Cowboys are sort of like, like Old Town Road, Lil Nas X kind of put Cowboys on the map. But I was like, well, actually, the Compton Cowboys were kind of have been around way longer than Lil Nas X, right? So what's your take on like the ways in which that popular culture have really sort of like taken on like Black cowboy, whether it's aesthetics, whether it's like visuals, because I think now like a lot of brands like, and you guys are actually in most of these commercials actually, right? Like like Google, Tommy Hilfiger, Nike, Adidas, like now we're starting to see like a lot more like Black cowboy and cowgirls like in popular culture. What's your take on all that?
Man, I feel fortunate. I feel blessed by it. I feel like it's divine timing because here we come. We got our group established, and here we come start making a name for ourselves. And we'll start establishing a lane, and we was working hard in our lane. But then you got you have a Lil Nas X who kind of comes out of thin air, and it's not necessarily himself a cowboy or of the culture of lifestyle, but he does something that creates a social and cultural phenomenon that evokes that spirit and makes people go to pay attention and go, whoa, wait a minute, Black people, how cowboy hats, horses, whatever. So originally I was a little frustrated because I felt like I didn't want the first thing that the world would see with our culture would be like a meme or a caricature of the culture, like what he was doing. And he was just a kid having fun, so you can't knock him. But so I was a little frustrated by that at first, but then I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute, one, all these conversations are getting started. Two, people are starting to actually go research and look up like Black Cowboys. And then when they do that, our stuff is popping up. So they're starting to get a real sense of like what's really going on, what's really, the real traditions, the real history and culture and all that. And so I feel so like, I feel like it's divine timing, man. All that stuff heating up. Then you got like Meg Thee Stallion popping off. You know what I'm saying? You got like Beyonce and Solange, and like they're all Houston, Texas roots are starting to they're playing on that, you know what I'm saying? And there's very different even there's even a term people call it the yeehaw agenda, right?
The yeehaw agenda, exactly.
And popular culture started to evoke the whole aesthetic of cowboys and stuff. And so I'm loving it. I'm excited because that just means more opportunities for us to work, more opportunities for us to tell our story and raise awareness about what's going on, because the minute people search Black Cowboys, we want to be the #1 name in that search engine. And then when we get the chance to tell the authentic story and then, lead people down avenues where they can learn more, get involved, get excited, and be in a position to pay it forward. And I like to think that your article, the book, and all that has catapulted, been a catalyst for these conversations happening and people even being willing to be like, oh yeah, I heard of that. What's that about? Like, you know what I'm saying? So much kudos to you for that, because you was one of the first people out here putting on for like the Black Cowboy in the big space. You know what I mean? Like, a book. Like, when is the last time a Black Cowboy book was out that was published, by a major publisher? Like, you get what I mean? Like, that ain't happening. So from that, now we got the feature film and development, which is going to be another major splash that comes off the heels of the book. We're doing stuff in music, man. My music is going on. I'm working with Dr. Dre, and I got a couple of other major people on board to help with the music. My music is on the way. That's going to move the culture. We're doing the fashion and all the branding stuff. So everything is about moving the culture forward, getting people excited, getting people to tune in, and then we can feed them all the real stuff and just make good people at the end of the day. Like, we want to be able to make good people.
100%. And, like, it's not just about popular culture, right? And like, not just about entertainment, because what you guys did last summer in leading, right, like that march essentially, or that ride out, I think was also kind of like a really radical revolutionary act, right? Because like at the height of the sort of like George Floyd demonstrations, I think you sort of like were at the helm of organizing this like really large Black cowgirl ride in Southern California, right? So if you could talk about that, because I was there and I actually covered that story for the New York Times, and I think what I experienced was like it was really powerful, really special. But I want to hear from you what it meant to sort of like essentially like lead a part of the like movement for racial justice, right? Because like what you're saying is that of course y'all are sort of like in popular culture and making huge dents, but you're also sort of like advocating for Black lives and doing it in like a very sort of racial political way.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you touched on that, because you know what? That George, our peace ride that we did in Compton is what we call it, a ride, not a protest. Was probably the most spiritually fulfilling or rewarding experience, and just really had the most profound impact on me as a human being. Because my father is a Harvard MBA class of 1984, and he was one of very few Black people, not just Black men, just Black people with that classification, right? And so when he was done with school, he wanted to move to the hood on purpose. So it was his goal to like, I'm moving to Compton. I'm going to move to Compton because Compton is lacking male figures and role models, and our people are turning out in bad situations because of that void. So for him to move to Compton with my aunt, they start this rant. They use horses to change kids' life, and their whole goal was to change people and to change Black people. For me to be on that morning of saddling up to ride to the peace ride, and then my dad looking at me with tears in his eyes. You know what I mean? Like, this is 30 plus years of him putting his heart and soul into this mission that he felt called to do. So when I'm sitting around looking at all my homies, and these are some of my boys, really from the streets, though, you know what I'm saying? And here we are going to go do something, be civically engaged and participate in the process of justice and all of these things. Like, that changed all of our lives, man. That has had a lasting impact on all of us, and it will always forever. And it was a great experience to just get out there and show people the other side of Compton, because that's what we've been trying to do.
Right.
We've been trying to be like, Compton is not the war zone, the gang zone, the drug zone. Like, it's real stuff going on. And so to have an opportunity to be out there, totally shifting the narrative to being like, dang, here go Compton. How was Compton going to respond to George Floyd? Oh, we ain't gonna get all up in the ruckus and make a mess and do all this. We're gonna come together peacefully with our right mind, assemble and make our voices heard in the most peaceful way. And that was beautiful, man. And that changed our life, changed so many other people's lives. I mean, a lot of news organizations, different things covered it, but that's life changing. And then the kids get to see that.
Right.
The kids get to look at it and go, man, these are my neighbors, my big homies from down the block.
Right.
They out here like this, for the people. And that changes the whole generation of kids' lives just from witnessing that experience. Not to mention if they got the chance to even participate, Right. So that definitely, man, I can't say enough about how I feel about that and what that has done for me as a human being and as a Black man.
100%. Yeah. I thought that was really powerful for all the reasons that you said, but I think also, in sort of demonstrations, right? Like, I think police officers have often used horses as a way to like control people and control crowds and control quote unquote rioters. And I think like what was so powerful about that for me was to see horses being used in a way that like, essentially on the other side, right? Like, which is really interesting, but also like were used in ways that horses are really peaceful animals. Horses are really, compassionate, tender animals. And I think like to ride out in that way to me was like also one of the highlights since I've met y'all, so it was really powerful and beautiful to be there.
Definitely, man. There used to be a saying I used to hear people say, older people have said it and the elders have said it, like, a white man's biggest fear is a Black man on the horse because you got to look up for him.
Wow,
they use they use the horse as a form of dominance over us because we were slaves on the ground bending over picking up cotton, and they were on a horseback literally looking down at you. And that power dynamic was very real. That meant so much for how they were handling things back then. So to be able to flip that, not only for us to be up on the horse now, we can look up and see the world from that vantage point, and then our Black people can look up to us. And that whole different dynamic, it just changes people, it changes things. And like you said, the horses being a peaceful animal, they never was meant to be in war and used to like hunt down slaves, and you know what I'm saying, though they were taken advantage of in that regard. But everything that we're doing now is to just flip that on its head, reclaim what's right, to do what's right and be good people. And at the end of the day, I think our work will show itself. I even posted one of my captions on one of my recent posts said, "Time gonna tell who was really out here." And I ain't trying to get instant gratification. It ain't just being out here and be dope and be like people like, look at me. I'm trying to leave a lasting impact. So by the time I'm 50 and my kids is older, and how my kids and their generation turns out is what's gonna say the most about what we did in our time. So that's what it's all about. I think we can start maybe getting to some questions now.
Absolutely.
But I appreciate the conversation, bro. This is what it's all about, man. We got to have these uplifting, important conversations. Some people that look like us, they try to write us off and say we can't do this. They say we loud and rowdy. And I mean, don't get it wrong, we do like to get loud and rowdy.
100%, right?
But we also, we have balance. I'm saying we're
for sure.
I like this question right here that says, "Does the ranch and being a cowboy have any historical connections to Compton?" By JHG. Thank you for asking that question. I love that question because what most people do not know is that Compton actually was founded as a farm town. The founder of Compton was a farmer, Griffith D. Compton. He used to go to the World Fairs and win awards for having the biggest pumpkins and the biggest squash and all this stuff. And he settled in the Richland Farms, which is the name of the town that we are in, and it's called the Richland Farms because the land was really rich. And he deeded the Richland Farms to remain as an agricultural zone into perpetuity. So that's why you can fast forward to 2020 and beyond. Mm-hmm. And if we still riding around on horses, we still growing gardens, we still, all of that. So absolutely, us being a Cowboy is directly connected to the original heritage and history of Compton. I mean, I feel like if Griffith D. Compton saw me right now, he would be like, this is why I made this place like that. Yeah. He'll be like, he would clap his hands and be like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, right. Farmers and cowboys and ranchers still here doing their thing.
Yeah. But Randy, if you could talk us through, like, Richland Farms is in Compton, but if you could talk us through, like, maybe the differences between Richland Farms, like how it looks physically and sort of in relation to like the rest of Compton.
Yeah, so what most people don't even realize is when you come to Compton, first of all, it's not just some third world looking undeveloped, like crazy war zone looking place like the media tries to make it look. And there's no knock to third world countries because they're developmental countries. They're still in development. But Compton is a very nice city. I mean, it's like, lower middle class city. A lot of residential homes. It was actually one of the first cities where Black families would come and be able to actually purchase a home and have a full property and build and grow their families up. So there's a lot of beautiful homes in Compton, residential homes, very middle to lower middle class looking place. And but the Richland Farms is a special zone because it had to remain as a farm town. There's certain development things that never happen in the farm by purpose. So whereas, a lot of neighborhoods have sidewalks and big, nice formal street signs and sidewalks and stuff. I mean, street lights and stuff. We don't have that. We don't have that. We have our street lights, but they still look like the old like brown, Western posts. You know what I'm saying? We don't have sidewalks in the Richland Farm because there needs to be more space so that when people are riding horses down the street or different things, we never got built-in sidewalks. Richland Farms is very green. So when you go to the farm, the Richland Farms, you're going to smell that you're in the farms. You're going to see that you're in the farms. Big trees everywhere, a lot of animals everywhere. You see all kind of animals walking across the road, and it's like, whose dog is that? Whose cat? But nobody. We're all farmers, and we're all the community in unison with the animals. We all share the space. We coexist here. Yeah. And just other things, like there might be some spots, like there's a taco spot around the corner where there's a post where you can hitch a horse to get off and go. Like that's the kind of stuff you'll see in the farms, not just like, driveways and parking lots. There's spaces where people can hitch up their horse when they go hang out. And we look forward to, building and furthering that. Like we want to make Compton a super futuristic city, but also a super retro city. Like you could ride around on a horse and pull up to the spot, hop off fresh, tie your horse up, walk in the club. You know what I'm saying? I got my stallion outside, I got my carriage outside, man. We out of here, right. You know what I'm saying? And that whole thing. So it's a very special place.
What's also I think really interesting about the Richland Farms is that I noticed, right, is like, like in the past 20, 30 years, like there have been more like Latino immigrants who have migrated to like Compton, especially Richland Farms, right? What I think is interesting is that, not to paint like a romantic picture, but sometimes like, there are sort of like tensions between Black and brown folks around Compton. Like I think it happens all over LA for different reasons, but I think what I noticed in the Richland Farms is that there seems to be what connects folks are horses, and like what connects folks in the context of the Richland Farms is that almost everyone rides horses, like Black, brown. And I think what you shared with me, what like a lot of like your friends shared with me, it's like, like y'all have been at like the Mexican homie's house down the street, like since you were like 5 or 6, and like y'all like have a shared love of horses, and that's something that kind of like brings y'all together.
Yeah, the horses do all our community relations. When we in the neighborhood, Black and brown people, neighbors, whoever, whatever, we all bond through equine practices. So just a lifestyle of farmers and ranchers. So, and that's what also makes Richland Farms a special place, because a lot of what you see citywide is a feud and beefs between Black and brown, mostly related towards like gangs and different things like that has to do with that. But in the Richmond Farms, the Black and brown communities are very much in harmony, and we're communal. We share and laugh and cook and have a good time, and even listen to the music and ride in parades. We actually rode in some of the Mexican cowboy groups, one of the big Mexican cowboy groups down the street called Connecting Compton. They had a big old giant, they call it a cabalgata, and like a big ride, kind of like a parade or whatever. And we rode in that with them. You know what I'm saying? That was a vibe. We just putting on for the people and having that vibe among each other. And that's the kind of dynamic that we try to introduce to other neighborhoods and communities, because we got to stop these feuds based on all these different things, man. We got to come together and love it. So the horses do all that work. That's the magic of the horse. So that's what's awesome.
There's also about young people, I think. About like young people joining the Compton Cowboys. And I know that's like something that's really important for you, is like, you know, the youth program and all of that.
Yeah, so we do have a youth program called Compton Junior Equestrians, and that's www.comptonjuniorequestrians.org. You can go there to find out more information. Essentially, we have an extracurricular and after school and athletics program where we giving kids opportunity to learn about all this. Start from zero. Even if you have zero experience, you can end up becoming a full-blown cowboy and pursuing a career. Like we have, I was just back there the other day watching my young boy Josh, man. He I remember when he came in, he just was a kid that wanted to learn about horses. His dad did it, you know, was like, man, I got to get my son around horses. He's killing me. He's bugging me. I got to get game. And just to go see him from being like the first day, you know, barely touching the horse, like, you know, petting the horse like this, to now I'm back there. He's lunging the horse, saddling it up, riding around, you know, getting ready to do his stuff. And now he's going to different camps and bull riding, things like all these different things. And he's like, yeah, I want to be a cowboy. This is what I want to do. That's what it's all about. And so right now we keep our, it's not like a big giant open membership thing, kind of like a school would be, where you can just enroll and come in. So we have very limited membership. We usually cap our student membership at 12 at any given moment, because we do cohorts, bring the students in crews, and kind of, as long as they're with us, the goal is to stay with them. And to be able to watch them grow through elementary, middle, high school, and even college, and then go pro with whatever they want to do.
Right.
So that's how we're rocking right now. But you can learn more all about it and reach out and get information by going to that website, ComptonJuniorEquestrians.org, and learn more about how what we're doing in the community with the kids. We're going to be doing a lot of different stuff too, outside of just our core membership stuff with kids. So it'll be a good time. Yeah, I see some lists out there. Some other questions in here. I say somebody had asked me about the Buffalo Soldiers. Buffalo Soldiers were this is from Irene Galvan. Buffalo Soldiers were early African Americans portraying cowboy culture. Does your program delve into this part of history? So Buffalo Soldiers are very interesting, and I would say yes. When we were growing up, one of the things that we did every year was we went to the Buffalo Soldiers annual invitational rodeo. Or I don't know if that was the specific name of it, but there was an event that the Buffalo Soldiers would have every year, and it would be a competition. So you can go up there, compete, you can connect with the Buffalo Soldiers, you can ride with them, you can learn all about what they're doing. You know, they have on their traditional garb and all the stuff, and even the Buffalo Soldiers ride in the Rose Parade every year. Or, you know, and the equine board of the Rose Parade actually reached out to us to be part of that ride and ride alongside the Buffalo Soldiers in that parade. So we definitely look forward to that kind of thing, right? It's like introducing the kids to this history. Like, yo, he was the first like black cowboys in the army, like riding on behalf of the country. You know what I'm saying? And there's a whole story about that, about, you know, the give and take and the advantages and disadvantages of that. But the point is, it existed, and our kids see those images, and we need to learn about that kind of stuff. So absolutely, definitely have a relationship that's coming together with the Buffalo Soldiers. And that we hope to continue to like groom and massage into the future in some sort of formal relationship and opportunities. Definitely.
Yeah, we have a question from Dahlia Serrato about do the horses get scared by urban noises and environments, and is it expensive to keep them in the city? And I think that's a really relevant question, because I think one of the chapters in the book is about I think it was Kanan and your brother. And Stona, who like I was with them, and one of their horses got spooked. And I know, like, you've spoken to me a lot about, you know, sometimes there's often like a lot of cars will hit a horse accidentally, and a lot of horse deaths and things like that.
Yeah, so on the first part of the question, too, the horses get scared. A horse's normal environment is not the city, right? So these noises and sounds and any stimuli, so the sights, the sounds, the smells, the textures of things, definitely to a normal horse would definitely spook them. But what's crazy about the Compton Cowboy situation is that our horses grow up here in the hood just like us, or they live in the hood just like us. So they're accustomed to and acclimated to a lot of the things that go on around here. So it's so funny, like people come from other places when they bring their horses, like for example, the Peace Ride or anything that we do down here when people bring horses. They see us and they're like, man, your horses are so broke. Like, how do they never trip out? Like what? And I'm like, yeah, our horses, because they from here and they grew up here and they around here, they know. Right. I wouldn't suggest or recommend you bringing horses you riding them through the intersection. Like, I would not recommend that. You know what I'm saying? Different things. Our horses, they definitely they get used to it, and that's the thing. Horses are very much built on the concept idea of trust. They're herd animals. They trust themselves, and their main instinct is to survive. So if you can prove to a horse that you have their best interest in mind, that you love the horse, you wouldn't put them in any harmful or fearful situation, that horse will trust you and it will do anything with you, even if they don't know what's going on. So one of the crazy things about Stoner's horse, Ebony, because Stoner is such a, you know how Stoner is, he's all over the place, it's crazy, but he's been with his horse 14 years. And so he's been through all kinds of terrain with his horse. So now his horse will do anything for him. Right. And most people will go, how is that horse doing that? Like, how? He's like, yo, this is my horse. We have a relationship. He can ride that horse down the middle of the street, traffic on both sides. I did it. I rode the horse like that, and I was blown away. I was like, yo, your horse is a freaking rock star, bro. Like, down the center divide, traffic on both sides, the horse not even spooked, just riding right down the middle of the street. Or, you know, riding up into and through deep water that's dark. Like, and he's like standing on top of the horse, walking through the water that's dark. Like, wow. Don't do that naturally, but it's about the bond that you build with the horse that keeps the horse from being spooked. And so that's the special thing about what we've done down here in the city. We have horses that are acclimated to our lifestyle and environment, so they do a lot of stuff for us that you may not normally see horses do. Yeah. And is it expensive to keep them in the city? It's expensive to keep horses anywhere because you got to feed them. They got to drink. They got to have water. They got to have vet care. They got to have, you know, all the different things. So it's expensive to keep horses. We have an incredible a family of sponsors and donors and relationships with various parties that help us keep it going. We actually would not be able to keep it going if it wasn't for outside support, because it's just too much for one person or any regular group of people to do. So just the fact of that's the goal is, like, we've been using the Compton Cowboys platform as a way to tell our story, get out there, get people involved and excited, and help us out. And we've been able to do it from the help of the public in the world. So that's really what it's all about.
What's also, Randy, like the whole idea behind riding bareback and with no saddle, right? I think for like a lot of folks, like someone might see that and you know, to be frank, be kind of shocked, right? Like, well, what's going on there? Like, why isn't there a saddle? But I think, like, I'd love for you to explain, because it's actually kind of deep, right? It's actually like pretty deep. I'd love for you to explain like the various sort of like intentionality around like not riding with saddles and riding bareback.
Absolutely, man. Riding the horse, first of all, we're blessed to even be able to, that a horse would even allow us on their back, right? And that goes back to what I was talking about the divinity of the horse and the human horse relationship. Like, that was written before us. Like, that's just nature code, like, you know what I'm saying? And so for us, it's like, because they allow us to be in that kind of dynamic with them, where we can literally get on their back and turn them and move them in any direction, we want to be able to honor that and appreciate that as much as possible without having to, you know, it's like if somebody, you know, it's like the whole, like, you give somebody an inch, they take them out, right? It's like, that's what the whole equipment and all that is. Like, yeah, the horses let us rock with them, and then we started putting like all this stuff on them and like pulling is like, you know, and doing and making them pull cannons and all this stuff, right? So we're like, no, horses in their natural state, like, we're fortunate they allow us to get up on them. So let's honor that and give that experience and have that experience in its most natural, normal environment, right? So like, being on top of a horse and just sitting on the horse as a horse without a saddle, without anything, that energy we talk about that the horse have, that synergy, that's when you seal it. That's when you really feel it. Like when you up on the horse, that synergy, the way that whole energy flows is happening. It's you can't even put that into words. It's beautiful. And it can be frightening because it's very profound, it's very real. It's not for play. So, but we like to ride the horses bareback because you just can feel the horse. It helps you with your horsemanship. You need to understand how that horse is feeling. It might be a certain muscle that might be twitching, and you can know, oh, something's wrong with the horse, or they might be nervous or something like that. Whereas when you have on all this gear and saddle, you can't really feel your horse like that, right? So it's all about the horsemanship, the nature and natural essence of interacting with the horses. Yeah. And so we love to make it, and plus the whole part of our brand is like going against the grain, like not doing traditional stuff, right? We're going against the grain. So we like, we're gonna hop up and be fly, but we're gonna get right on the horse as they are on the horse. And that even takes it back to before human invention of saddles. Like the most natural way, like the natives was riding horses just by holding the mane and hopping on them. Yeah. And they could ride and hunt and everything like that. You know? Yeah. So that's what it's all about, just getting back to natural stuff, getting away from too much man-made, right? Like getting back to the normal, natural essence of things. So, and then plus on top of that, putting on a saddle and doing that, it's way too much work. But we're too lazy for that. like you make you sweat, you can't be fly. You know what I'm saying? You might be extra fly, and then you start doing all that other stuff. Now you sweat, you got dust all on you. It's like, no, bro, I'm fly or I'm jumping on the horse just like this.
It's a lot, yeah. No, it's also what you said right now about, like you said, cowboy culture. What y'all trying to do is go against the grain, right? And I think someone asked earlier, like, what makes a cowboy, right? Like, how do you define that? I think, like, to me, cowboy culture is inherently a group of folks who go against the grain, right? So what does it mean to you? Like, what makes a cowboy?
Yeah, I love that. It is originally about just going against the grain and doing it yourself and figuring things out. But I think for me, the most important part of being a cowboy is being one with nature and acknowledging your role in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
When you're a cowboy, you acknowledge that you're just one part of a bigger engine that helps drive the world forward. So it's my job to be in unison and take care of the animals, take care of the plants, take care of each other, take care of family and community. Also, a cowboy to me is somebody that is brave and blazes trails, not afraid. Like, we go off the beaten path. You know what I mean? We're not afraid to carve our own path. And I think that's important. That's an important life skill that kids can learn and people can learn in general, is to, like, just because you see a big bush and hella trees in front of you, but the other thing you want is on the other side. Don't be afraid to go through that. Get your machete out, get on your horse and go through there. You know what I'm saying? Like, cowboys, that's just the way. You make a way where it ain't one. And that's really what it's really all about. And it's just about being an upstanding member of society. I just think that when you wear this hat, you know what I'm saying, and you riding the horse, it should represent being of and for the people.
Right.
And for me, that's what I have made it be about for myself. And that's what we try to instill into the group. And that's the message that we put out there for the world to see and the kids to see. I like this question from Rose Alba. How can one start introducing children to horses, and what is your experience? Share your experiences working with young kids and horses. We provide ourselves as an access point, right? So Compton Cowboys, even if it's just as simple as like staying tuned to when we have days where we can welcome people down. And the first thing by introducing them to horses is showing them a real life horse, bringing them to get the experience of seeing the horse, smelling the horse, feeling the horse. And that's how you start. I mean, even if you don't have access to actual horses, like say you're not even from Compton, say you're from way somewhere else or where there's no horses, start showing them horses on TV, show them horse pictures, show them horse books. I remember being a kid, some of the funnest things that we would do is sit around and watch horse movies. And horse movies was a great way to just kind of like be in the vibes without actually having a horse around you. But there's a bunch of great horse movies. There's a bunch of great horse books. So I would say just start with anything you can find that evokes the sense, the imagery of the horse, is where it starts. And then, if you have an opportunity to get an access point where you can actually have kids introduced. I mean, especially in the LA area, there's so many different places where you can go, book horses or see horses or go ride them on trail or whatever. So get them around it. And then my experience working with young children and horses, that really made me, I feel like that changed, that grew me when I started being I was a kid riding and the adults were showing me how to ride and I was a kid learning. Now being a grown person, paying it forward and reaching down to help the kids come up, that's a different experience. And it has taught me a lot. I mean, it's taught me a lot about the power of just one good deed and one good action to change a kid's life forever, and that helps you. Like you start to realize, like, man, you realize that as an elder, as a generation above the kids, like they actually look up to you and they want to mimic you. And they want to be guided and led by you, and they are inspired by you one way or another. If you're doing crazy stuff and out here and in the streets and all that, they still gonna be inspired by you, and that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna do that what you do. So just working with the kids now, it's inspired me because I'm seeing the kids like I said, I saw Joe, just watching Josh go from a kid like, hey, can I sign up, to he go out there and get his own horse out and brush it down, saddle it up, do a whole little practice and get off everything by himself. And that just changed my life, man. That's like, wow, man. Like just by extending a hand, being a source and being a guide and a leader, you can really change a kid's life. And imagine you can do that over and over and over. That's what life is all about to me.
Yeah. I think we're running out of time, but I kind of wanted to ask you, when I met you, like you had just had your first son and like now you're a father of two, and like what you were just talking about, children and the next generation, like what does it feel like for you personally to like, really think about like you're raising like two young children to also kind of hopefully follow in your footsteps and to be around horses. Like what has that been like for you personally to like see your
own? It's very humbling being a parent. Yeah, it's very humbling being a parent and being a leader in your community and just being something that somebody could look up to. Like it's just beautiful. I look at my kids, especially like having a kid. The one thing about having the kids that changed me is like I'm not living for myself anymore. Like everything I'm doing, all my actions to try to put my kids in a better position, right? And so now it's like that's why I get up every day. Every action that I take, every move that I make, I ain't trying to do nothing for me. I'm set. I have been blessed. I am fortunate. I have lived a life. If I went out today, I lived a full, beautiful, amazing life because in the last 2 or 3 years, I have changed so many lives and inspired so many kids that like my work could be done. I'm cool, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that I've been graced enough to be able to be here still, that's what it's all about for me, is like every day getting up, trying to lead, trying to show better, do better. And the more kids that get inspired by what I'm doing, that just makes my life beautiful, man. I used to want a lot as a young person, man. I used to be like, man, I want to take over the world. I want to be rich as hell. Everything. I need everything, right? And now just being back home, being on the ranch, growing up, being around these horses, man, I'm like, man, I have everything. I don't need I have everything. Now all I got to do is give now. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes my life fulfilled. So that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's a good closing point too. You know what I'm saying?
That's really beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, man. I think now someone is supposed to come and close out the show, but I just want to tell you, thank you for sharing this, man. I feel like you and I, it's been a while since we sat down, and I really appreciate you always speaking to me, bro. Really appreciate it.
Most certainly, bro. I'm always happy to talk to you. Thank you so much to LA Made and the LA Public Library for having us on. It's important work. Again, just this talk had inspired a kid. You know what I'm saying? To go Cowboy. I'm looking forward to the day where some cowboy rock star comes out, emerges in the world and just is living on top, and he say, man, you know what? I grew up looking at Randy Savvy, bro.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, modeling myself after him. So that's what it's all about, man. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you, Walter and Randy, for sharing this talk with us today. I think it's really honorable how much you appreciate and honor like the effect that you have on the youth and your community. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And thank you to viewers for joining us for today's LA Made program. Remember to check out the library's online calendar at lapl.org. And we hope that you all will join us again tomorrow, Friday, March 26th at 4 p.m. for LA Made's program with Bailey Sarian. We will see you next time, and goodbye and good evening. Bye.